Welcome back to the channel. This is my very first season on the river. Hope you enjoy. In my fishing, I've been looking for something special, and special nowadays is quite hard to find. I wanted something that's relatively unknown, not many anglers are fishing. It's a chance of a nice fish and a good sense of adventure. And from listening to various podcasts and stuff like that, social media, I was put in the direction of the rivers and river fishing and stuff like that. And you've got the Great River Ooze that is very prolific, and the River Trent and all that sort of stuff. And they all produce very nice carp, and just the surroundings of them, the images and the fish that are caught, that's just something that I wanted. And fishing around a day ticket lake and stuff like that is just not something that is really fancied, as I haven't really fancied that much. And so along with a river is heaps and heaps of adventure, heaps of it, which is the main thing that I've been looking for, and which really spurs me on. Being in the middle of nowhere, on your own, pitch black, it just makes, when that buzzer goes off, so much more exciting and just rememberable, really. And so looking around rivers and stuff like that, they're all very far away from where I am, and little did I know that my nan's house looked over the mouth of a river that I didn't know stocked any carp. And albeit my nan's house is at the bottom of the river in the mouth, a lot further upstream, there's a good amount of carp in, I don't know how many miles of water, but that is where my adventure started. So fishing on a tidal river now is, like I said, a brand new challenge, and something that I've never done before. And up till now I've been fishing still waters like canals and the odd day ticket lake here and there, and that fishing is relatively easy. There's no real issues with presentation and holding bottom. That's a whole new sphere of challenges that you have to overcome. And so the main issue would be presentation, and in doing so, 5-ounce leads were something that I never had in my tackle box. It was always 1.5s, 2s, and I thought 2s and 3s were like super heavy. But yeah, 5 ounces were, put in an order for 5 ounces, and that's an absolute gold piece of information that without them you wouldn't stand an absolute chance. In addition to that, rigs and stuff like that, that's all got to be simplified, really. So slip Ds are something that I've used consistently throughout my fishing, on lakes and canals and stuff like this, and that is something that I've been very successful in using here. And so on the river you learn that pre-baiting is a massive edge, and that can put you in good stead to not only catch fish but catch a fair few, and not blank and catch a few on regular sessions. It being tidal, you have the fish taken up with the flow and then obviously taken back down. So if you can get bait established and regular baiting trips here and there, you're more likely to have fish in your area when you come to fish it. Pre-baiting anywhere on a lake, on a canal, is, puts you in good stead to catching them. Regularly baiting up with boilies, tigers, particles, all this sort of stuff. Every 2 days. Finding spots, you know, that you think will hold fish and it's clean on the bottom, and then putting bait there regularly, hoping that, you know, they'll eat them and then they wouldn't be far away when you come flick the fishing rods out. Pre-baiting definitely helped putting the odds in my favour, really, and it's something that is very powerful on a river, especially if it's a bait that they want to eat and, you know, they need. And so over the next few months, from June the 16th, I really started to campaign on the river, and this led me all over the place, to be honest. On June 16th, I managed 3 commons, nothing ginormous, but like 12 to 14, 15 pound, that sort of size, and that just that session alone showed me how important pre-baiting was, because I did it every other day. You'd go down, get your spots, and then, you know, fill it in, and when you turn up on that June the 16th and you cast out before midnight, it's really quite a special moment. You know, the evening before, on the 15th, I saw them bubbling up, and that's just, you know, the anticipation is just, you know, through the roof, and you're just like, I can't wait to get the rods out. But yeah, it hit midnight and I flicked them out, and then that night I managed, 3 commons, and to kick off my, you know, river season was absolutely an absolute result. And yeah, that was the only session I actually did in that spot. I decided to cut off and go up a different arm, and I was told that, you know, this is a good area. So like I did with the previous one, baited that, did it regularly, and I did blank for a few sessions, and I think that was the learning curve of understanding the river and figuring out the bite times, because obviously the tide comes up, and on the rise and the fall, that's your best bets. You know, when it's peak high tide and the flow is, you know, it looks rapid, your chance of a bite is less. So just figuring all that sort of stuff out is key to, you know, reeling the rods into fresh hook baits and all that sort of stuff, checking your presentation, because you want to be in for prime bite time, and that you want to be fishing for bite time. And so after a few blanks on this new arm, I was thinking, you know, should I move or should I not? And I decided to give it a few more sessions, because like I said, I've been told this is a good spot, and, you know, the fish do get everywhere like that, and I did 2 more sessions up there, and it turned out to be a very good 2 sessions considering. So one of the first ones had an absolute ripper, and this fish couldn't have been less than 3.5 feet long. It must, like, it hit, like, it was just laying in the net, and it was just from side to side like a massive U shape in the net. And it was a super long common. Probably only it was super slender as well. It was probably only, like 13-14 pound, but super long and really quite slender. And I was then set, like, I've caught from here, we'll definitely do a next one. So I baited it, did a next one, and then caught a super nice mirror as well, a linear type, and that was a mega one. And so yeah, that was my first mirror from the river, and that is, you know, something that I remember to this day. They won't, you know, baking up. So after that, unfortunately I blanked a few times, and I figured that it wasn't really an area where they were holding up. They were sort of like a passing point, and I was lucky to get the bites that I got, and I appreciated them like that. They're super special fish. But holding points are the ones that you want to be looking for in the river that I found, and it's sort of essential because if you're pre-baiting, the fish aren't far from your bait, and they will always be in the vicinity. So when you come to cast out, you're not far away from them, and you've got the best chance of catching them. The adage onto this is that they get confident eating your bait and they're looking for it. So when you do eventually turn up, you'll catch them easier. They'll be confident feeding on you, and you can get really good sessions. And so there's a little bit further downstream, there's 40 metres of tree line on the opposite bank, and it more or less cuts the river in half because the trees are quite overgrown, and this is an obvious holding area, or what I so believe anyway. And this was where I chose to bait up regularly and hard, lots of bait. I knew there was good fish in it, I knew there was 20s, I knew there was quite a few. So that was really the goal, a good 20 pounder from the river. That's a good fish from any river really. Regular baiting, tigers, boilies, particle as well, just to try and get the longevity out of the baiting. Because there's been times where I couldn't get up for like 4 days, and I was hoping that the crushed tigers and all that sort of particle would give me longevity in the baiting until I could get up next, and that's exactly what it did. That was perfect for that. And when I did turn up, it came good. Now, on the lead up to this first session in the new holding area, it was I practically sprinted down to the swim and trying to get all the rods set up in the panic that is before trying to get it before dark. And I went to bed full of anticipation, and at around 1 AM, an absolute screamer, as they are on the river. They're absolutely one-toners, and I caught a small common, and that was on my first trip in this new area, and I was like, wicked, right, we're off to a flyer here. But unfortunately the next morning I did have a bite and I lost one in the tree, and that was a bit of downer. But that's 2 bites in one session. That's, except from June the 16th, that's the second time that's happened. So I was super confident in the bait and super confident in the area, and so decided to give it a good helping of bait regularly. And then I came up on the next big tide. So with one under my belt, I was chomping at the bit to get back in the swim. After baiting it for, I think must have been at least 2 weeks, I decided to come down on a new moon phase, and I think it was 6 metre tides, and that's a good sort of tide. Anything more than 6 is absolutely stellar, and it's perfect for catching. So yeah, turned up and got in the swim, rushing to try and get the rigs on and the rods set up. Managed to flick them out, got dinner on. Managed just another small common around 7 o'clock. I think I arrived around like 6, and I was like, yeah, sweet, we're ready to go, and it's hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to catch a good one. And so the night went on, and then it must have been about 12 o'clock, and I can just see in the distance thunder and lightning. I can't really explain it, but it just like lit up the sky, and it lit like the lot of it. And the wind was pushing into me across, sort of perpendicular to the river, and I was thinking, this is going to be one hell of a night, and boy was it. It eventually got to me, and this storm crash like literally passed straight over me. It was absolutely madness, and you know, it's thundering and thundering and thundering and raining and raining and it was just relentless. And then it all calmed down, and then I must be in the eye of the storm, and then literally 10 minutes later happened again. Had a massive mare. In the storm, you know, the buzzers were going. I was like, you know, right, it's one of these things where it's like you can't, there's not much you can do, so decided to leave them in. In hindsight, definitely should have taken them out. Right, so we're finally out the thunderstorm, which is lush, and this is going to be this is so unbelievable, but thunderstorm went past and it was pissing down, absolutely pissing down. And then I noticed that my alarm is going. I get up and my rod is not there. My rod has been pulled in by a carp, obviously. So, panic stations, lost my rod. There's a fish out there tearing a whole fucking rod. So, reel the other rod in and start to cast around, you know, just dragging it along the bottom. And I don't know how much of a million of a chance this is, but I've managed to get my rod back. And I'm over I don't even know what I'm over, but the moon is underneath me. So yeah, this is what I have now done to try and secure my rods, because a peg clearly wasn't fucking enough. So this is what I've done. I've tied a piece of paracord to the reel and then pegged it in, tied it there, pegged it in. I've also done a double measure and put the butt eye before the reel, before the buzzer. So yeah, once I sorted all that out and, you know, managed to retrieve my rod, I was in disbelief that I even managed to retrieve my rod. And then from then on, as you saw, I made sure they were not going anywhere. This storm probably lasted a good hour or so, and once it passed, got the rods back out, and must have been 3 hours later, must have been 4 or 5 o'clock, and the bobbins hit the blank and it's just ripped off. And I am fishing quite tight clutches, just because, you know, the tree's there, and if it goes in, you know, you don't know what's under there because of the flow. And so I picked into it, and it's already felt a good fish, and you know, that slow plodding around sort of thing. And yeah, as soon as I picked into it, I knew this was one that I definitely didn't want to lose. And it must have held bottom for at least, you know, it felt like forever, but it probably wasn't. And yeah, I managed to persuade him to come up, because he wasn't having none of it. And I've got my head torch on, and it's still on the bottom. And then just in the middle of the river, this absolute submarine comes up, and my head torch is on it. And I'm like, oh my god, if that's not a 20, I don't know what is. And by then my head is gone, and my knees are, you know, I'm like scrambling for the net, and it's absolutely mental. And I was like, if this, you know, this is one of the things that I couldn't speak like I can't now, just trying to say it to you. But yeah, it's yeah, you just see this white back come out of the water, and then it just shines glimmering off of it. I was like, this needs to go in the net now. And it must have taken line and then sunk on the bottom, and then all this sort of stuff, and then took me all the way down to the right. And so managed to get it back out in front again. And finally he was just coughing in the in like the mid-water, and it was just rolling around, and it was coughing and coughing and coughing water in it, and I scooped the net up, and I dropped the net, and I was like, literally, if that is not a 20, I do not know what is. And yeah, I look in the net, and it's just this absolute submarine, and I'm lost for words utterly. And you know, I turn it on its side, and I couldn't see any scales on this one, and because you can just see the top half of the fifth when it was coming in. I turn it on its side, and it's just like plated with scales, and I was like, you know, this is a good fish regardless if it's 20 or not. I don't care. It's a mega one, and you know, it's scattered along, and then turned it on its other side, and it was like sort of like a half linear sort of shape, sort of scale pattern. I was like, this is a proper good one, and I was so made up. This is such a big carp. Oh, this is such a big carp. I don't know how well you can hear me, but oh my god. Right. With the sling, right, this probably turn off. With the sling, £24. The river has finally coughed up one of its bloody good uns. Oh my, look, it's right, really. Booyakasha! Come on, the carp. My best guess is £22. £22 of absolute river stinker. Look at the size of him. Look at the size of him. After my rod getting pulled in, and then this rod collecting that other rod. Oh my god, it's been amazing. Electrical storm straight over my head. Look at this. Look at this. We'll spin him round. You, my friend, have made my day. Oh, look at that. Would not be out of place in a lake. Look at that. We'll get some photos, we'll slip him back. What a way. It's mega. And so yeah, a river 20 on a new river PB. I think it's probably £21, but at the end of the day it doesn't matter. 20 plus is 20 plus, and that's something that is so special. And being my, I don't know what bite it was, must have been 6th or 7th bite, I was over the moon. So it turned out by the next morning, I managed 3 small commons, you know, less than £10, nothing massive, and then a 14 pounder and a 16 pounder. One of them was a mega scaly mirror, and it's a proper nice one. I've got really good night shots of it, self takes. And so the day on the river, the days pass very slowly. Being the height of summer, the sun was absolutely scorching down on me, and cooking me to bits, and it was absolutely horrid. But that's the beauty of river fishing. It's absolutely relentless. The environment for the fish is relentless, and so it's only fair that the anglers aren't comfortable. You know what I mean? Such special ones. So, and yeah, the day passed slowly, like I said, and it went into night, and nothing really happened. I was expecting a bite at 7 o'clock, didn't happen. So I went to bed still full of anticipation, because just the buzz of 7 fish in a day, or in a night and morning period, was proper special, including a 21 pounder. And so yeah, went into the night feeling really quite confident actually. And I got to take at 1 o'clock in the morning, I picked into it and I was like, you know, there's another good fish. And I was thinking, this feels incredibly similar to the one that I'd literally caught last night. And then it didn't, you know, it wasn't much of a battle this time, and then I've managed to get it in the net. I've turned it on its side and it's the exact same fish. You don't really expect to get repeats on rivers, but somehow I managed to land my river PB twice in 2 nights, which was pretty mental. So after recapturing that 20, the night went by pretty quietly actually. Must have been, it came to 7 o'clock and I think I had another small common, and by this point the small ones I just unhooked in the net and just let go. So didn't take photos of it, got them back, and then an hour passed, looking proper good, still a bit overcast, and the rod just absolutely went into meltdown and screamed off, even though I had tight clutches on it. Just, yeah, went absolutely berserk and gave me a good old scrap. Like I said, you get caught in the flow and then it goes down 20 yards, and then, you know, getting back to the middle, and then it goes down the left as well, and then there's sort of like little dots of lily pads in and around. They're not massive, they're not thick because it is tidal, and so they don't really have the chance to grow. So he went in them and you can feel it grating, and then they all just popped out, and then he got him back to the middle, and then it must have happened like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, this, you know, this can't not be a good fish. And then yeah, I got him to the middle, and then he was more or less ready, and I scooped him under, and it was a good leather, and I was like, that's a leather, like you know, you don't expect to catch. I didn't expect to catch a scaly mirror, a 21 pound scaly mirror, and then a 17 pound scaly mirror as well in that same night. To have an absolute blinder, and then to, you know, land a almost leather, it's something that you'd only expect in a lake, and for a river to have it, that's just mental. And yeah, so this one went 17 pound. It was an absolute brute of a carp, a mega one to catch. And yeah, I remember you know, when I caught it, the sun was up and it was mega bright, and I just remember the camera it was totally white out on the camera, and I managed to get somewhat shots, and then Photoshop and all the editing business came in clutch for that one. But yeah, that was a proper brute of a carp. Like, yeah, I've got no words for that one as well. It was a mega carp. And you know, by that time it was 4 o'clock, and I was off, and just looking back on it now, it's an absolute mega session, you know. Managed 15 bites? Yeah, 15 bites in 2 nights, and you know, losing 2 is, I think, is quite exceptional, considering you have no idea what the snags are like, and you know, it's just mental really. And so yeah, 13 bites, no, 15 bites and catching 13 and losing 2 was proper spectacular and a proper red letter session. Until next time, see you later.